That moment when he looked at me with the steely, stone cold eyes, and he said it was easy for me to kill your people like dogs, that's when my life changed. There's an individual that came in, and he walked into the room. He looked like the typical villain from a Rocky movie. He's got this buzz cut, the flat top going, and he's got that thick accent that's so stereotypical, it's comical. And he tells us his story. Right? He's a born again Christian. When we started talking about our borders, it was easy for me to have suspicion of you. And he looked at me. I was the only Muslim in the room. And when the media started to cast blame, it was easy for me to blame you. And when the call for war broke out, it was easier for me to kill your people like dogs.
I want to bring in our guest, Shariq Abdul Ghani. And Shariq is the executive director of the Minaret Foundation, an organization focused on bringing faith communities together through multi-faith and civic engagement.
What is the Minaret Foundation?
Where our focus is bringing faith communities together to change the world around us. Specifically, in the beginning, it was Muslims, Jews, and Christians. We all came together to work on public policy that affects children, because we operate in three areas: child welfare, food insecurity, and religious freedom.
What is its mission?
My goal was to present an American version of Islam, American Islam, the identity of the second generation of American Muslims in this country. And the whole focus was building trust, bringing our communities together, building relationships between the imams, the rabbis, and the pastors.
Then how did you start it, or what was your inspiration?
It's been 13 years now, but we've been growing the program. It's many more synagogues. 1 year it's at a mosque, 1 year it's a synagogue. We've taken down a natural history museum before, rented out an IMAX, brought whole communities there to have discussion and dialogue. But that was really the beginning of Minaret Foundation.
Why focus this community building work around faith specifically?
Faith is a huge driver of change. Our faith leadership are involved in politics, and you'll see this all the time as negative mention that a candidate went and spoke at a mega church. For us, we see that as that's awesome. They're reaching the people where they're at. But others see that as Christian nationalism or Muslim nationalism, or they shouldn't be doing this or they shouldn't be doing that. But for us, this is just a part of our culture and our fabric.
How do we change our faith orientation in the world from fighting?
Faith becomes a battle cry to hate one another and rally against one another. I believe that is a false notion, a false framework that has been put onto us. That's not the actual truth. In fact, in almost the same sentence or the same breath, you also mentioned that faith, that service is such a big part of our faith communities. That is accurate.
What are some of the, insights that you've gained, now many, many years into this work, and what has it taught you about the world? What are some of the principles, that maybe brought you to this work, but that have become strengthened for you, or some of the values that have really come to life for you by taking this path, and committing your life to this kind of work?
The biggest component of social cohesion is trust. And that takes years to develop. And it takes deliberate actions of trying to build a relationship. You have to get to a point where you trust one another, where you can be there for one another. That's where the foundation of relationships comes from. That's also how we build it to the next generation. Because it's not just about us. We have, it's a succession planning as well. How can we leave America in a way that's beneficial for our children and our grandchildren? And it's by setting them up, laying them up with great relationships that they can then leverage to create even greater relationships and for changes all in the communities around us.
Where has this led you personally as you've kind of gone along this path?
It leaves me with a sense of curiosity for other people. Just not judging a book by its cover, getting to know someone, just being in continuous awe of how little I actually know about the people around me. I'm just still trying to grasp who people are and what relationships and trust looks like and where we need to be in the future.